Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today I need to get on here and make a little bit of a confession. My garden is a problem. Well, no, I am the problem this year. Last year I had major garden issues. This year I am the issue. Just wait till you see how bad it is. It's rough. I'm telling you, it's rough. If you've been following along with our shed to home journey, you know we have been clearing our home site. And with clearing our home site, I can now see my garden in full view. And it's kind of depressing to look at because it looks so bad. So today, we are going to fix the garden. We are going to bring the weed eater out and cut it all down and make it look pretty. So I'm going to show you a before of what's going on. Don't judge me. It's been a crazy year. And just so y'all are aware what you're looking at, all of that tall green stuff, those are weeds, not plants. Well, I am sweaty and covered in bits of grass and gross, but it's actually starting to look like a garden. Now, all that big green stuff you see are actually plants and not weeds. So we're gonna go through and see what's ready to harvest in the garden. And I'm going to show y'all a few new things I have. Our friends Alicia and Eric come down like 2 weeks ago now. No, maybe about a week and a half ago. She helped me tie up my tomatoes, weed them so those at least look decent. And then help me get some new plants planted on the homestead and in the garden. So I'm going to show y'all those. Show you what I've got growing this garden season. And where I'm at with the root rot that affected my tomatoes last year. Because it's been kind of interesting to see. So starting on the left-hand side of my garden, I have zebra grass, and behind it I have bee balm that we planted. Both of those come from Alicia. She dug them up at her house and brought them to me. My bee balm's struggling just a bit in the heat, but it's making it. Up here in the garden beds, I have spearmint that come from Alicia, and next to it we have strawberries. And then my comfrey plant, this come from Vita Family Farms at the Last Farm Where You Live event. It looked beautiful until this huge hot spell we're having, and now it's kind of struggling a bit in the heat. And then some thyme down here on the corner. On this garden bed, we have more comfrey, another strawberry plant, an even bigger comfrey, another strawberry plant.
That one's getting eaten, Mama.
And then at the end, we have a large mullein. And another zebra grass to finish it off. So the plan with the zebra grass is that they will grow large and frame the front beds in. So it will be beautiful once our house is in place. Now, one thing I'm going to warn you about as we go through this short garden tour is that half of my beds are not planted. Like I said, life has been crazy and my focus has been finishing my book, The Homesteader's Guide to Raising Rabbits from Birth to Butcher, and now this shed to house. So the garden kind of got slacked off. I planted what I considered staples for us, and some of them struggled and didn't even come up. So it's been a hot mess. Some of it's just not planted. I'm hoping to put in a fall garden, and right now that is my only hope. So real quick, going from this side across, this bed had peppers that I tried to direct seed to see if that would work out for us this year. Not a single one of them come up. This bed also had peppers that I direct seeded. None of them come up, but I did have volunteer peppers from last year. Hopefully those will produce peppers. Right now they're not doing anything. This bed has our ground cherries in it. On the trellis, I did Armenian yard-long cucumbers. The vines are just now really starting to take off, so we need to get them trellised up. On the other side, I have ground cherries They got started late, so they're not really producing yet, but they are starting to grow nicely. Well, it had way more runners on it than I expected. I've noticed with these Armenians that they put off a ton of runners per plant that's planted. Now on this side of the trellis, again, I have Armenian yard-long cucumbers. These are not doing as well as the other side. I think only 1 or 2 plants come up on this entire side. So the other side should have more trellis space to make up for this loss. On this side of the trellis, I have striped zucchini. These zucchini have done fantastic here. This one's a little small, but I find that they're better when they're small like this for this variety. But you see how it has the stripes on it? It's a pretty good zucchini. It just needs to be small.
Oh, there's another
Our
one.
okra are getting pretty decently sized, and I'm pretty sure I have several in here that need to be harvested. Okra that are about the size of my thumb are one of Declan's favorite fresh garden snacks. You've been waiting all year for that. Your first raw okra of this season. Oh, that one got way big.
And I want another one.
Now in my okra bed, I have random marigolds from Declan, planting them. And random volunteer peppers that wanted to show up. This was my corn bed last year, and I had tried to plant sunflowers in it and pumpkins. None of my sunflowers sprouted, so I weed eated the whole thing. And I have 1 pumpkin that sprouted. Better Boy tomatoes. I got these from Starts at a local feed and seed. It is so hot today. So if you were not here last year for my garden season, then you probably do not know the struggle with my tomatoes. I had issues last year with all of my tomatoes having leaf curl. Thought it was like a herbicide damage. We have fields all around us that grow things like tobacco and corn and cotton, and they spray a lot. So I thought maybe drift had affected my tomatoes. I talked to our local ag unit. So Clemson University does like an agricultural outreach type deal, and I could call them. So we determined it was most likely something that come in a bagged compost I got at either Lowe's or Walmart. But I suspected it only contaminated some of my beds because we did not mix the compost. We put bag per bag in beds. This year I have been moving tomatoes around to different beds to see which ones are affected and which ones aren't. And I'm a little surprised at the results because it's kind of, I don't know, surprising. So some of my beds are growing tomatoes beautifully. Other beds are not growing them at all, and some beds are growing half okay and half not growing at all. Actually withering and dying. So we'll have to get into that and see what's going on there. This bed, I tried to plant the suckers off of those tomatoes. Some of them are making it. Some of them did not. This bed did have some tomatoes in it and did struggle with root rot. My lemon balm is beautiful and large. I need to get this out of this little pot and plant it in the ground. I love lemon balm. It is one of my favorite things to have out here because of the smell. This bed has cherry tomatoes planted in it. It did have some tomatoes in it last year. This was the bed that was tested and confirmed to have root rot fungus in it. Look at these cherry tomatoes. So these on this end look beautiful and green with no issues. These over here, this is what the root rot does. It rots the roots and they can't absorb the water or the nutrients. and it dies. These over here are completely gone. And you can't even barely see where these were. This was a test bed. I knew it had root rot in it, but some tomatoes are resistant to root rot. And it's interesting that some of these cherry tomatoes did great and others did not. If the ones that did great continue to thrive, I will save seeds from them and continue to plant them because they will be resistant. None of my beds are in the back are planted except for the two in the center, and they were planted with squash that did not grow because it's shady. My blackberries are the only berries that survived their first year. My raspberries and blueberries died, but my blackberries are both growing, though this one looks kind of awful at the moment.
Oh, Mama.
And then we planted a wild rose, and this will spread and bring in pollinators for next year. Alright friends, it is a hot, long day, but the garden actually looks like a garden and not a jungle of weeds anymore. So I am happy. I will try to continue to upkeep it and not let it get that bad again. We will see how that goes. I will try to keep y'all updated on the progress. If you're watching our shed to house journey, you can see the garden in the background, so you can kind of, if it gets too high, be like, Megan, get out there and fix your garden. Because it struggled and I've struggled, but we're getting on the right track now. I'm going to try to get a fall garden planted. Maybe I can convince Alicia to come back down and help me plant a fall garden so that I actually get it done. That's all I have for you today, friends. So until next time, bye. I will see you later. Check out this before and after.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many